looking at?
Hello, and welcome to the teaser trailer for the newest podcast from the Trek Geeks podcast network, Deflowered. I'm Sara, the co-host of Rewind, and with me today is my new co-host, Sophie. Welcome, Sophie.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have dragged you along for this excitement. Before we get into a game of 5 questions, why don't you tell folks what this podcast is all about?
Yeah, so this podcast is the deflowering of me, basically, I suppose. I have never watched any type of Star Trek before. I have seen the films, the J.J. Abraham films, but I have never watched the original series. I've never watched any of the Next Gen, no Star Trek at all. So this is me watching it for the first time and discussing it with Sara, who is a big Trekkie, as you probably know. And I also, because of my job, I'm a sexual health educator. We thought it would be interesting to do kind of like a history sort of moment in the podcast to understand the zeitgeist, what it was like at that particular time. We think about the misogyny in each episode. And yeah, we kind of just unpack it. 2 episodes in one of our podcast episodes. So yeah, it's fun. I love it.
Excellent. So we've got you on board so far. You're not running away screaming just yet. It's a good start.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got 5 questions that we can both answer. And I think you kind of just answered the first question, which was how much Star Trek have you watched? And you said you've seen the J.J. Abrams films, which is that's something. I mean, it gives you a bit of an idea about the who's who in the zoo. And yeah, that's your start. And that was a start for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm a huge, probably people won't know this. Well, people will probably know Simon Pegg. I'm a huge Simon Pegg fan who's obviously in the films. And I love his show Spaced, where they pay homage to Star Trek in that. And also Adam and Joe, who I don't know if anyone will know who they are. I love Adam and Joe, and they paid homage to Star Trek in their TV show, the Adam and Joe show. So little bits, I kind of understand it, but really not that much. Oh, and William Shatner walked past me once. So
there you go.
Claim to fame.
That's a close encounter.
There you go. Very much.
For those who have heard me on Rewind or through other Trek Geeks podcasts, you'll know that I'm quite familiar with the majority of Star Trek. TNG is what I grew up on and what I love. I'm a big fan of Deep Space Nine. I've seen all the series, not all the way through, except for the original series and the original animated series. I've never watched these series before, just a handful of episodes of the original series. So in a way, it's almost a little bit of a deflowering for me too with just the original series. And it's time. I love anything 60s, mid-century. So I'm already really enjoying it. Number 2. Why should people listen to this podcast, Sophie?
People should listen to this podcast just to hear us rambling, I suppose. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting as well, because another thing that we do is, because you have all of this knowledge about Next Gen, you kind of think about how it would be done differently. Like, I find that kind of interesting. I'm really obsessed with thinking about what was it like at the time? Like, why was it written like this? Where has this come from? And then you put that spin on it as well. So I would say that's a big plus of why you would listen. And of course you can listen to my British accent and how I say things.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, I agree. I think, if you like Star Trek, if you like to laugh and you like something that's a little bit lighthearted and not super political or super serious, I think this is a good podcast to listen to. So I hope you guys check us out when the time comes. Question number 3. What are some of your own personal favorite podcasts, if you have any?
Oh, okay. So Adam Buxton podcast. I am a huge fan of his. I wouldn't really say that I listen, which is strange because I take in so much media. All I do is watch TV, YouTube, films. I go to the cinema all the time, but I don't really listen to a lot of shows that are about TV shows, apart from The Office ladies. I'm a huge fan of The Office.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Adam Buxton's always going to be my number one. What's yours?
Nice. I listen to a wide variety of podcasts because I walk my dog a lot, so I always need something different. So today I was just listening to Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, and it was all talking about places that you can't go, which was really interesting. They do like takes on different conspiracies. I like the Crackpot podcast. I like Dateline, My Favorite Murder, Crime Junkies, The Office Ladies. Like it depends on my mood. I need something either something woo-wooey, something scary, something, radio rental I like. There's lots of good stuff. Last podcast on the left. And of course anything on the Trek Geeks podcast network I love. So.
I know. I was going to say I should have said your podcast to get brownie points. I should have said Rewind. But...
Rewind. Question number 4. What are you most excited for during this podcast?
I suppose what I'm most excited about is we're new to each other, really. So we're kind of getting to know each other. So that's one aspect of it I like. I'm a huge mid-first century fan as well. So I'm loving just watching the Star Trek episodes. And just pulling it apart. I love pulling things apart. I studied media. I love like deconstructing things and thinking about it. Maybe I think slightly too much about Star Trek because I don't know if there's like deeper meanings behind it, but I think there is. I think
absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm most excited for the fame and fortune, obviously, that are going to come with this. Yes. We're going to be just dripping in diamonds by season 2. I'm pretty much positive of it. So, but also, like you said, I'm excited to get to talk with you. I'm excited to bring you into the fold so that I have someone to talk Trek with. And I'm excited to finally give the original series the justice and the time it deserves from me. Yes. So it's happening. I'm super stoked. Last question. Why are you doing this podcast, Sophie? Because I told you
doing this. Because you forced me to. No, I have a radio background and I just really I've always wanted to be on a podcast. I always listen to podcasts and I kind of just wanted to experience it myself. And I have always wanted to watch Star Trek. My really close friend is a Trekkie. My mum was a Trekkie and I really appreciate that. One of my favorite films is Galaxy Quest, which people might be like, what? Why are you saying that about a Star Trek thing? But yes, I just always wanted to watch it.
Galaxy Quest. You will actually love this. At one of the Star Trek conventions, it was voted one of the favorite Star Trek films of all time.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
People have the Trek community has adopted Galaxy Quest as one of its own. And Alan Rickman, is one of the loves of my life, one of the many loves of my life. And I think that movie is absolutely perfection.
Sam Rockwell is mine.
Guy.
So there you go.
God, he doesn't even have a name.
And Rainn Wilson's in it as well, so that's a little Office tie.
And when he was at one of the Star Trek conventions in Vegas, folks were cosplaying as the aliens from Galaxy Quest and got a photo with him, and it was like absolute perfection.
I love that. I didn't know if it was like blasphemy to say that to connect it with Star Trek, but wow, Galaxy Quest does not get enough credit. So yeah, I love all sci-fi, like stuff like that. So I suppose that's a big reason why I wanted to do it, and just to dip my hand back into broadcasting again, I suppose. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, why am I doing this podcast? Because I'm slowly trying to take over the network. And I'm sure Will and Dan are shaking in their boots. So they're Starfleet issued boots. No, I'm just kidding. I'm doing it because I love doing it. And Rewind is a show that Haley and I do. And we're both, like, she's so busy with her work schedule that we don't get to do it weekly. We do it once a month. And so I have time and space to do another show. And I've always wanted to do the original series. And I don't want to do a show alone. So you seemed like an easy prey, easy target. And I threw out my fishing lure and I hooked you and I pulled you in. And I'm hoping that you will be my travel partner for Vegas next year. And we'll cosplay Galaxy Quest and we will do it up at the convention. You and me.
I love it.
Or we'll dress up like 2 of the 3 Muds women.
Oh, please, no.
Well, I mean, I think that pretty much sums up why we're here, what we're doing. we're going to be showcasing 2 episodes in one podcast. So we'll be doing a review of 2 episodes and talking a little bit about which one we like better and some of the fun things that we liked and some of the things that we hated. And we're going to have this also available to communicate with us on formerly known as Twitter. So yeah, stay tuned for the launch of the first episode. We would love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter. It'll be, or X, sorry, classic. It is TG for Trek Geeks _ Deflowered. So stay tuned. Thanks so much for listening so far, folks. We're so excited to see you or hear you or talk to you.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Coconut.